Okay, today we're going to discuss about how to create an Azure network firewall. Okay, so Azure having like a lot of security capabilities. For example, network firewall, application firewall, or NSG, network security group, and that is working on subnet level and virtual machine level, right? So today we're going to discuss about network firewall. So here you can see that I have a VNet. So inside VNet I have a two subnet. One is application subnet, another one is my firewall subnet, right? So I'm going to create an application subnet. Inside I will create one virtual machine. So with a public IP address or private IP address. Okay. So there is no necessary that require a public IP address. You can create a private IP address virtual machine as well. Okay. So then I will create a firewall. So this firewall having a lot of capabilities. For example, NAT, we can add NAT rule, application rule, or else we can add network rule. So we'll discuss that while we do the demo. Okay. So here you can see that my user is trying to access my firewall. So he'll be able to access my application. Okay, if we are accessing through firewall. But one thing I have to make ensure I've been already. So I have to give one what the relevant rule over here. Okay, for example, what about the user public IP address? Okay, so I have to give the public IP address over here, and what is the destination? Everything you have to give. Okay, if the rule is existing over there, or if the rule is matching, then only the user will be able to access my application subnet. Okay. So consider my user is trying to access my server directly with the public IP address. So that is not allowed. The reason is, so I've been already created one route table over here, and this route table is saying, so whatever the connection is getting into application subnet, and that should be through my firewall subnet. That's what. Okay. So anyway, let's head on to the demo, like how to create a VNet, then how to create a virtual machine. Okay. And one thing, so when you're creating firewall subnet, actually the name is a case sensitive. So we have to give Azure. What is the name?
Firewall.
Azure firewall subnet that you have to give. What about Azure Bastion host? Azure Bastion subnet. Okay. So we have to give Azure firewall subnet. Then only it will work. Okay. Let's go to Azure portal. Then we'll do the demo. So first I will go to virtual network. Then I will create a virtual network. So let's go to virtual network. So as of now I don't have any virtual network over here. I'm going to create a virtual network first. So let's select one resource group and subscription. So let's call it as firewall demo. So next IP address, and I will give it 24, that is enough. So I'm going to divide this virtual network into two. One is for my application. Okay, I will call it as app, and subnet will be 10.0.0.0/24. I'll be get total 128. Add. I'll create one more subnet, and the subnet name should be Azure firewall subnet. Okay, Azure firewall subnet. That should be there. Yeah, Azure firewall subnet, and I'll give the IP address. What would be the IP address? 128/24. Okay, I'll be get 128 IP address from here. What? Okay. 128. Okay, now it's okay. Add. So now I'm going to create this VNet. So once it create, then I will try to create a virtual machine. Then I will try to create a firewall. Okay. Because without creating this virtual network, we cannot create any firewall, because that subnet should be accessed over there. Then only we can do that. Okay. Anyway, it will take around 1 to 2 minutes. Then after we will go there. Let's wait. Okay, successfully it's created my virtual network. So now I'll go to my virtual machine. So first I'll do one thing. First I'll go to my firewall, then I'll try to create a firewall. Okay. So now we successfully created our virtual network and two subnets, right? So next I'm going to go to firewall, then I'll create a firewall on this particular subnet. So for that we have to go to Azure portal again and search for firewall. As we discussed earlier, we have different kinds of firewall. See, this is network firewall and we have application firewall. So both are different, okay? So we'll discuss that later. So I'll go to create. Select your subscription and resource group. I'm going to select my resource group. Then instance name, instance in the sense what is the firewall name you want to give. Okay, so I'll give any name, so we can give any name, no problem. So I'll give my firewall. So here you can give any name, but no problem. But when you're creating a subnet, that should be Azure Firewall subnet. Okay. So this is I'm going to deploy in central US region because my subscription that is allowing only create into central US region. I've been already created that virtual network as well on same region. That's what. So next availability zone. So you can select any available zone, for example, zone 1, zone 2, zone 3. And if you want to make it highly redundant or highly availability, then just go with the 3 availability zone. Or else you can go with the none and randomly it will select one. And so we have a SKU, so that I'm going to select standard or basic premium. We have a 3 SKUs. Okay, you can select standard. So next we have an option over here, firewall management. So we have 2 options. One is firewall policy, another one is a classic rule. Okay, so the difference is if you want to create a policy like rules, so we have 2 methods. So this is the newest method, and so we can go with the rules. Okay, we can create rules. For example, so this IP should connect to my virtual machine, or else you have to create a policy like through JSON language and all. Okay, so better we can go with the use firewall rules by using classic. So choose a virtual network. See, create a new. I've been already created a virtual network, right? So then I will select use existing, and I will select my virtual network firewall demo. And then public IP address, we have to create a public IP address for our firewall. Then only we can connect our firewall, right? So for that's what actually we have to click add a new IP firewall. We can call. Then okay. Then that's enough. Then I'll review plus create. So it might take around 2 to 3 minutes. So let's wait. So meanwhile, I will create application server as well. I'll go to my virtual machine. Then I'll create a virtual machine on application subnet. Okay. So for that we have to search virtual machine. So let me open another tab. So here I will select a resource group. So then I will select a name as virtual machine. Okay, sorry. Actually, I thought it's an instance. Okay, we have to go to virtual machine. Okay, so we have to create a virtual machine. So click on create an Azure virtual machine. So select a resource group and a virtual machine name as VM. So I'm going to deploy this same region because then only we can select a virtual network. Okay. As we discussed about availability zone, if you want to highly redundant system, then you have to select multiple availability zone. Okay, availability zone, you can select multiple availability zone. See, zone 1, zone 2, zone 3. See, I'm just going to select no infrastructure redundancy required, which means automatically that will select one available zone. Okay, if that available zone is goes down, then my customers would not be able to access that particular application. Okay, so while you creating the architecture, you have to meet all the requirements, whatever the requirements are needed for the client. Okay, so select standard security type and image is Ubuntu. So I'm going to select authentication type as a password and username. So username is Ashiq and password Ashiq @123. So let me confirm that once again. Then I'll go to my networking tab, and we can see that we have only one subnet over here, and we'll be able to find 2 subnets, but we can deploy this particular virtual machine on only this application subnet. Okay, firewall subnet we can see that, but we cannot select firewall subnet. See, if I go to subnet, you'll be able to find Azure firewall subnet and application subnet, but we can only select application subnet, right? Okay, so I'm going to select one public IP address for my virtual machine, then review plus create, and it's going to create a virtual machine. So let's go to firewall. Let me check whether it's created or not. No, still it's progressing. Let's wait. Okay, anyway, you can see that still it's a progressing. My virtual machine successfully created, and here you can see that this is my firewall that is still is progressing, right? So I'll go to your route table, then I'll try to create a route table. Okay, then at last I will configure all together. So I'm just going to create a route table right now. Okay, so let me go to route table. So I'll open for another window. So select or search, you can route table, and you can see that route table over here. I'll open this route table. So create your route table, just click on create. Select your resource group, region, that is a central ES, and name that should be, you can put any name, no problem. There is no necessary over there. So I'll put my route table, then review plus create. So now you have to associate this route table with one of the subnet, application subnet. Okay, and you have to create a route as well over there. Okay, I hope you remember, because we have already discussed what is a route table, how to create a routing policies and all, right? Still my firewall that is creating. So once it get create, then we'll go ahead. So VM successfully created. Let me try to access my virtual machine. Go to resource. Get the public IP address of our virtual machine. I'll try to access my virtual machine from my local system. Let's try. So what is the command we have to use? SSH. Then username we have to use @ and public IP address. And here you can see that we are able to access that. Should actually be getting a reply from server. I will accept yes, then enter your username and password. Ashiq @123. And this is going to connect our virtual machine. And you can see that successfully I connected Ashiq @virtual machine. Right. So let me try to access one of the website, google.com. Let me try. So we can use curl. So since it is a command prompt, we can use curl. Okay. So curl, then www.google.com. Let me try. You can see that we are able to access google.com, right? See, that's what actually we getting this reply. See, google.com, we are able to access. Okay. So now I'll do one thing. I'll clear everything. I'll go to my firewall. Yeah, firewall successfully created, right? So I'll go to my firewall. So go to public IP configuration. Here you will be able to find the public IP address of your firewall. See, 13.89.33.103, right? Let me just copy this public IP address. Or else I'll do one thing. I'll create a rule first. Then we'll go with the public IP address. Okay. Let me go to rule classic. You can see that on left blade, you can see that one collect rule blade over here, right? One rule option. Just click on this rule. As we discussed over here earlier, so we have a 3 option. One is a NAT rule, another one is a network rule collection, and application rule collection. Suppose if we want to forward from one port to another port, okay, so the user should not access my virtual machine through port number 22. So the user should access my virtual machine port number 3000. Why? What is the reason? What is the reason? See, so this is my user, right? So when user is accessing to this virtual machine, so by default we can give 22 port number. See, everyone knows about this 22 port number, right? But actually I want to convert the port number 22 to 3000, 4000, or else any other number, random number. So nobody knows, okay, so that company is using different port number. So we cannot assume, right? That's what. So if you're creating different port number, so they cannot assume. So suppose consider one miscreant or some hacker. So he broken into your network and he's trying to access your virtual machines, servers, whatever it can be. So you can resist that, or you can withstand that by using this method, like a port forwarding. So let me do one thing. Let me go to NAT rule collection. So I'll select add a NAT rule collection. So then we have to select this option. See, name. Okay, first we have to select name. So I'm just going to give port forwarding. We can give any name, port forwarding. Yeah, fine. So priority, actually we have to select one priority. So that is starting from 100 to 65,000. Okay, we can give any priority. I'm just going to give a 300 as a priority value, or else we can give a 100 as well, no issues. So next you can see that a name, right? So we have to give a name. So access VM, I'll just put access virtual machine. So select your protocol. I'm just going to give a protocol, TCP protocol or UDP protocol, whichever it is. So I'm going to select both. So source IP address, I will select IP address, and source is any source, no issues. Okay, whatever the source, no problem. Which means I can also access to the virtual machine, and Nasrullah, he can also access the virtual machine. Anybody can access. I'm just giving all access to my users now. Okay, but if you have any particular user, you have to give the particular user IP address over. You getting? For example, I have some set of user in my company. So we know the IP address, whatever the source IP address. So that source IP address we have to give over here. So now I'm giving all IP address, which means so all users can access to my virtual machine. Okay. So next, destination address. So here you have to give what is your destination, where do you want to access. So what do you want to access? Virtual machine. So we want to access our virtual machine, right? So this is my destination address. So I'll go to my virtual machine. So quickly let's go to virtual machine. So beneath we have a private IP address. We should not give a public IP address, because in real time scenario we will have only private IP address. Okay. So copy this private IP address and let's go to firewall again and paste over destination. Okay. So next, destination port. So what is my SSH port number? 22, right? So I'll give port number 22. Okay, so that's fine. So next, translated address. Sorry, actually we suppose it to enter destination port as our firewall. Actually we are accessing to firewall, right? Right, so that we have to give. See, by mistaken actually I given its destination as application, not like that. See, so this is end user is accessing our firewall, right? This is my destination, right? So I'll give a destination IP address over here. Okay, let's go to firewall. Let's go to firewall. So for firewall you have to give the public IP address. So let me select the public IP address as a destination port, because we cannot access private IP address, right? Okay, so that's what we have to give public IP for as a destination first. Okay, then destination port. So I'm just going to give a port number 22. Okay, or else you can give a 3000. You can put any port number, no problem. Okay, I'll give a 3000 port number. Okay, so here you have an option, translator address. See, so what they asking, see, once the end user connected to firewall subnet, from this subnet, where you want to go? VM, right? So now we have to give VM IP address and VM port number. Which port number you want to translate? See, when the user is accessing to my firewall subnet, he will give 3000. For example, SSH Ashiq, then this firewall IP address and 3000. Okay, and it will be translated to this private IP address and port number. Okay, so first let me get the private IP address. And what is the IP address of my virtual machine? 10.0.0. 0, 1, 2, 3, then 4. So we have to give a 4. Then translated port. Which port you want to translate? From 3000 to 22. I'll give a 22. That's fine. So now we have to put. Okay, 1 minute. Just cancel this. Okay. So should I mention anything over here? Nothing. Right. Everything is okay. Okay, here destination address /32, because single IP address, right? So this we have to mention, or else you can remove this space. Now everything is okay. Okay, so add, and that's going to create a firewall rule. Okay, so meanwhile I'll go to my route table. Then I will associate my route table. So meanwhile I will create a route in my route table as well. Okay. So what is my firewall private IP address? Firewall private IP address 132. Okay. I'll copy this firewall private IP address. Okay. Let's go to my route table. So this is my route table. I'll go to my route table first. So left side you can see that route. Right, so let me select this route. So create your route table. Okay, what is the route name? virtual machine to public, right, through internet. Okay, virtual machine VM to internet. So I'll give virtual machine to internet. So address prefers destination, I'll give IP address. So what is the destination? No. See, from virtual machine and I'm accessing to where? Internet. See, whenever you are accessing to internet, what all the thing have to do? Like the action actually we have to mention over here. So I'll give a destination as 0.0.0/0. Okay. Destination IP address 0. Next hop. Firewall. See. So this is my application. So my user is logged into my application. Okay. So when my user is accessing to internet, it has to go to where? Firewall. That's it. See, I'll do one thing. I'll just. Okay. This is my user. You can see that I have a user over here, and user is trying to access internet. This is internet. Okay. So when user is accessing the internet, first it has to go to firewall. From firewall, it has to go to. That's it. I got idea, right? Okay. So let me go to the same. I'll go to the portal again. So I'll select next stop as my virtual appliance. What is my firewall IP address? 132. Right. Add.
But private
private. Because internal private. Public. So successfully created. Let me check my firewall. Successfully updated firewall. Successfully updated my firewall. Okay, successfully updated my firewall rule as well. See, deployment succeeded. Okay, fine. Let me check the firewall rules. Go to classic rule. Go to NAT rule. Okay, NAT rule, you can see that we have a 300 rule over here, and that rule is stating whatever we defined over there. Okay, so when you go outside, automatically it will restrict. By default, it will restrict. Same as, so when I come to inside, so it will translate from 3000 to 22 port number. So let me try to access my virtual machine again. So I'll go to my virtual machine, exit. Okay, this is my virtual machine IP address. Okay, this is my virtual machine IP address. I should not access this IP address, right? So when I'm accessing this IP address, I should be getting an error. Port number 22, that is not enabled. Let me try. But still I'm able to access it. I'm getting password option over here. Why? So now I will reiterate once again. So here you can see that we created a virtual network, 2 subnets, and deployed one firewall, implemented firewall rules on it, and I created a subnet, and I created a virtual machine over here, and so I have an end user over here, and I created a route table, and I created a route. Now what I have to do? See, actually we created a route table, but we didn't associate a route table with what? One of the subnet. See, you have to associate this route table and subnet, right? Then only it will be applicable. See, now actually it's working based on system route or default route. So I'll go to my Azure portal again. So go to where we should go. We should go to my route table. So we have an option over here, subnet. Select the subnet. You can see that as not associated till now. And associate. Select your virtual network. Select your subnet as application subnet. Then click OK. So now successfully done. I'll try to access again. Yeah. So successfully done. I'll go to my virtual machine, exit. Let me exit from this pool, then try to access. So it will take some time to, okay, wait. Exit again. It will take some time to applicable on it, wait. So now you can see that I'm not able to access my virtual machine, right? And what we discussed over here, the same actually it's happening now, right? See, actually that user is trying to access my application server directly, but that is not working. Why? Because the connection that is going through my firewall, so the firewall that is not allowing the connection as often, that's what. Okay, so for that, so what we have to do? So we have to get the firewall public IP address, then we have to access through port number 3000, then only it will work, or else it won't work. Okay. So now I'll go to my Azure portal again. No, sorry, not Azure portal. I'll go to my command prompt again. So I'll get my firewall public API address. So then I will try to access again. Okay. So let me try. I'll go to. You can see that. See, connection to host 52.173.190.50 to port 22. Connection timed out, which means that is not working as of now. So due to some reasons. Okay, because firewall that is not allowing the rule. Okay. So let me go to my Azure portal again. I'll go to firewall. So firewall will be have one public IP address, unique public IP address. So we have to get the public IP address. What is the public IP address? Yes, I'll get the public IP address. Let me try to access again. So for that we have to use the same command, but I'll replace my virtual machine public IP address to firewall public IP address. Let me do one thing. Let me just copy and paste. Let me just copy and paste the IP address over here. Paste. So this is the IP address. Copy and paste and enter. See, previously we were trying to access 52 IP address, right? So now I'll try to access 103. Okay. But still I'm not able to access my virtual machine. Why? Actually, I created port number 3000 because nobody should access through port number 22. So customer should access to port number 3000, right? Because hackers there doesn't know actually what is the exact port number my client is using. That's what. So I'll just exit from the session. So then I will give -p then 3000 as a port number. So now you can see that we getting one acceptance, right? Fingerprint. Yes. So will be an option to enter password. I'll enter Ashiq @123. Okay. And you can see that successfully we connected our virtual machine. Any doubt? If any doubt, please let me know, then we can rectify once again. And one more thing. So now I'll try to access google.com. Okay. So what is the command? Curl. We have to use curl, then curl www.google.com. Okay, suppose I can just put google.com enter, and you can see that action deny, reason no rule match, proceeding with the default action. See, the firewall that is not allowing you to access that particular google.com. Okay, for example, let's consider I'm trying to access one application, install httpd apache 2. So if it is Ubuntu, we have to use apache 2 -1. See, what is the problem you're getting over here? Okay, let me try with this. Actually, it's a Ubuntu, right? So we supposed to use apt, advanced package tool, because there's a dpkg package. Okay, so what is the error we getting over here? Because we not as sudo, that's what I am able to put sudo. Okay, so what is the error we getting over here? So what is the error we getting over here? See, actually here you can see that this package manager, apt package manager, trying to access one of the domain names. See, http azure.archive.ubuntu.com, but actually they are not able to access it. Why? Firewall by default that is denying the traffic. That's what. Okay, so we need to give the specific path or specific rule, then only it will access. I'll show you how to access this. Okay, so listen. So I'll try to access google.com again. Let me try to curl www.google.com. You can see that action deny, right? I'll go to my firewall again. So firewall, you have to go to rule. So as we discussed earlier, we have a 3 option NAT rule. We already discussed we can forward from one IP address to another or one port to another, right? So next is network rule. So that is for IP address. We'll discuss later about that. Okay. So next one is the application rule. So select application rule. Add an application rule collection first. So then come down. So beneath you have an option target FQDNs, fully qualified domain names. Okay. So I'll just give a google.com. So we can put Google. We can put any name over here. Then IP address. So I'll give a source IP address star. Then protocol port. Okay. So I'll give HTTP and HTTPS. So when he accessing HTTP and HTTPS, he should be able to access. I'm just giving like that. Okay. So what is the target FQDN? www. What? Google.com. That's fine. I'll add this rule. Okay, so one more thing, actually we have to give what name, collection name, and as well as priority. So I'll give Google. So we can give any name. So I'm just gonna give a 300 as a priority, and then we can give an add. So that's going to create a rule. So updating firewall, once it updates, then I'll try to access my google.com from my virtual machine. So let's see whether it's working or not. So let's wait to complete the process. എന്നാ പറട്ടാ Okay, here you can see that successfully created google.com FQDN, right? I'll go to my virtual machine again. I'll try to access google.com. So for that we have to execute curl www.google.com. Let's try. So now you can see that we are successfully able to access the particular website, right? So now I'll try to Microsoft Azure. So what I have to do? What I have to do? Or else facebook.com. We can use facebook.com, enter. And you can see that action deny or is a normal matched proceeding with default action. So we have to create a particular rule for that, then only it will work. If any doubt, please let me know.